Next up, I just want to touch on the issue of affordable housing. It's come up in discussions right now because New York State is dealing with housing issues as an element of trying to close out their annual budget. As we're here today on Monday, the 15th, they have not yet come to final agreement. We're hopeful that there'll be some news a little bit later this week, but that will play out as it plays out. As I've indicated, once a final arrangement is made between the two houses of the state legislature and the governor, we will invite our state legislators to come in and give us an update in this forum to talk about what's happened in the budget. But for right now, housing is a major issue. We've talked about the priority for affordable housing here in Westchester County. Now, there's a lot of voices out in the community. There are people who are advocating for different things. And I think it's important for you to understand how much we have done over the course of this administration. We have changed the direction of the county, which previously did not embrace affordable housing, and after a lawsuit was required to do a certain number of units of affordable housing to satisfy that lawsuit. That lawsuit has been completed to the satisfaction of the court, but we have gone on to work with local governments in trying to identify and incent various other examples of affordable housing. Now, affordability can come in a range of income. We know that we have a very high market rate right now. If you went out to get a one-room apartment in certain areas, you might pay as much as you pay for a mortgage payment on a home. And the average median income of Westchester residents is in six figures. So if you're trying to find affordability below that level, it starts at about an 80% number and then works its way down. One of the difficulties we have as a county government is that we are not, under New York state law, eligible to build the housing ourselves. We cannot have a county housing authority that would then go out, either identify our own land or other land, and then build affordable housing. We can only incentivize affordable housing by using resources that we have. And that's very different. Other counties around the country have different structures within their states. I've had friends of mine point out what's happening in Maryland, Montgomery County, Prince George's County, right around D.C., and the affordable housing they're able to develop, because in that state, they have the ability to do that as a county government. We are a home rule state, and we from the state level of government down, allow the local towns, villages, and cities to set the rules for land use and zoning and planning and so forth. So we work as an incentivizer for affordable housing, and we need a site and a developer and a local government willing to do that. We also are in a market of very high demand. Whenever there is available land that isn't already owned by the government, it becomes a very expensive process for us to acquire that land, because in the private sector, they can have private level market rate rents, which would get them revenue into the project of a very high level. Makes it easier for them to spend a lot of money to buy the land, and it makes it more difficult for any of us as government officials to try to compensate and obtain land where we don't already own that land. So with those impediments facing us, we have still been able to incentivize quite a bit of housing. And I just want to run down just some of the projects that have happened over the course of our tenure. Now, there are times when we incentivize using IDA funding, Industrial Development Agency funding, which is saving the developer money in sales tax, mortgage recording tax, and other costs, and incentivize them, and they add a certain number of affordable units within a larger structure that's of the market rate. So some of the numbers you see, when we have 7 units in Harrison at the Avalon project at the train station, or we have 5 units in Ossining and IFCA project, it's not necessarily a standalone project of 4 units or 1 unit or 5 units. It is some affordability within an existing market rate unit. But they do count. And we are having people and families who could not afford market rate getting affordable housing through those arrangements. Each number of units benefits those numbers of families. Some of the more significant projects, you may see some of this on your screen, 74 units in Greenburgh, the Mayfair Apartments through Marathon Development. 42 units in Lewisboro, the Wilder Bolter project. 143 units in Mount Vernon, a project done through related companies and a local limited partnership. 95 units in New Rochelle, 219 units in New Rochelle, Georgia Green. We have a Peekskill 82-unit complex that's just opened and is now occupied. We have 34 units in Portchester, Sawpits Seniors Facility by Laz Development. 106 units in Tarrytown that have been developed. 133 units within a unit in Tuckahoe, Marble Hall Development. 129 in White Plains through the White Plains Housing Authority. 63 in Yonkers, a West Hab project, another West Hab project project in Yonkers for 45 units, Conifer project in Yonkers at 146 units. These are just some of the construction numbers that are in place. These are units that are now open, they're occupied, and they are benefiting that number of families. We also have a number of projects that we have broken ground on. They're under construction. They're in some process where the plans are in place and we're just moving toward completion. 45 units in Greenburgh, 23 units in Harrison. We have some major projects in New Rochelle, 179, 119, 186 unit, all separate unit structures, stag development for the last one. Another 109 unit project in Tarrytown, quite a few more in White Plains, 96 units in an RXR Capelli project, 56 units that we just broke ground on. Ken and I were at the groundbreaking that's sponsored by Mount Hope, AME Zion Church in the eastern portion of White Plains, just on the cusp of Silver Lake. Those 56 units just ground broke over the last couple of days. 60 units in the Mulford Corporation in Yonkers, another 113 units in Yonkers, McQuestion Development for some additional units. And those numbers continue to go on through some significant locations around the county. It's important to understand that whatever we do, it won't be enough. The need for affordability is overwhelming. We had a study that was done in 2019. It's been recently updated, and it shows a need for over 10, 12,000 units of affordable housing. And then the range of affordability is a factor as well. The higher the average median income, that still makes it affordable, the more difficult it is for us to be able to satisfy those in greater financial need. So at 80% of AMI, you're dealing with a family where both spouses are working. They're not working at a high income level where they can afford market rate housing, and bringing it down with a subsidy from the county government and also state funding helps make it affordable in that range. But to get down much below 50, 40% of AMI becomes very, very difficult. And the missing element in this is federal funding that follows the tenant rather than subsidy that follows the unit. There's only so much you can contribute to the development of a project to get the per unit cost down so it's affordable. You need to then incentivize the individual who applies for Section 8 assistance, or the overall project is built on Section 8 assistance, and we have not had a large influx from the federal government in Section 8 assistance to help bridge that gap at the lower level. So the county is doing what it can do. We're doing more for affordable housing, not just the mentioned units that I have, but ones that are on the books that we're working on trying to negotiate. Right now, we made some commitments for a project in the town of Mamaroneck and some other locations around, which still have to work through some of the developmental priorities and issues. When we allocate money, we can allocate money to purchase land. We can allocate money to fix infrastructure. So you have a rock problem. You can't develop in this piece of land unless you're able to blast out rock. That's an expense. For site preparation, the county can be involved in assisting on that. We may have to extend a sewer pipe in order to service that particular project. We can also use the IDA incentivization, and we've also created a flex fund in some cases where the county's money can help close the gap in financing. And we have a number of applications to do that. We're hopeful that the flex fund concept will help us reach even more affordability. But I think it's very important for you to understand what we're doing and how we're doing it. We've made a great commitment to affordable housing. I must tell you, this is a commitment that is not being made in the counties on Long Island and the other counties of the Hudson Valley. Other than New York City, Westchester County is the leader in developing affordable housing. And I think it's very important that we understand that while the need is great, the effort, the activity, and the allocation of monies has been significant and sincere on part of our government. And certainly for the people that are living in those units, we have delivered for those individuals, that they're now in a safe and secure environment that they can afford, and those units will continue to be affordable. Individuals may be able to improve their economic situation, move out, move up into the market, leaving that unit to be used as an affordable unit in perpetuity. So our affordable housing efforts are underway. We think that they're very important. We continue to work hard to do more and to do better, but at the same time, we look back over the length of time of our tenure in office, and we see absolute concrete results. And at the end of the day, it's results that we're striving for more than anything else. So that's our update on affordable housing.